Welcome back. Could the Royal St. Lucia Police Force finally be closing the books on a homicide that occurred nearly 1 year ago? Well, according to the Superintendent of Police with responsibility for crime management, George Nicholas, this might be the case. The top brass officer revealed that through the help of forensic testing, the force finally has answers.
On November 16, 2019, police responded to a homicide in Grand Ravine, Dennery, where Santoma Abbott was found dead at his residence. Samples were taken from that scene and sent for forensic examination, and we have been in receipt of those results.
He revealed that results were able to put a name to a suspect in the homicide.
What we can say to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that Santoma Abbott, the deceased, and Makin Maki had an encounter at the residence of deceased Santoma Abbott on the day of his death. You would recall that Makin Maki was also charged for a homicide in the south of the island, and he was on remand at the Bodily Correctional Facility where he had escaped. And sometime in March this year, during the process of his recapture, he was fatally shot by the police.
Maki was shot and killed on the 25th of March 2020. The relevance of the National Forensics Lab in Tapio is under the spotlight after the Royal St. Lucia Police Force revealed that outside help was used to break a number of important cases. The Superintendent of Police, George Nicholas, says in relation to the question, he is leaving the answers to the relevant sources. Jacques Wooding has more.
Is the National Forensic Lab of any use to St. Lucian Police? Well, this was one of the many questions posed to Superintendent with responsibility for crime management, George Nicholas, during a Monday morning press briefing. The question was raised after Nicholas revealed that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force received help from international labs through the analysis of the lab in Tapio to determine vital information surrounding two deceased nationals.
As it relates to the one for Santoma Abbott, that test was done at the PTC laboratories in Columbia, Missouri. As it relates to the one for Mr. Dyson Emilia, it was done at the Human Identity Laboratory Center of Health Sciences in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
The question over the usefulness of the local lab left the superintendent short on words, not wanting to prejudice opinions of the lab's functions.
Are you saying that our lab today does not have the competence to analyze forensics, to analyze what you guys, investigators, gathered at where the scenes?
I think I have a very good idea as to what the lab can and cannot do, but I think you, the media, and members of the general population in St. Lucia deserves better than just an idea. So I think the most appropriate person to answer these questions would be the lab director, and I'm sure that an interview can be arranged with her, and she will clear the air as to the capabilities of the lab.
After a short back and forth on the matter with one member of the press, the superintendent explained just why outside help is needed in the first place.
What I can tell you is, when we submit samples for analysis, we submit it to the lab, and the lab would then, if they are not able to do the analysis, they would facilitate it through another lab. As to the extent to which they can analyze or not analyze samples, again, while I may want to share my idea with you, but I think you deserve better than my idea.
This has long been common practice of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Methodist minister Reverend Seth Ampadu is calling on the religious community to seek out a clear statement from the Pope with regards to his position on same-sex marriage or unions. Ampadu believes that the Pope's call for civil union legislation for the LGBTQI community may have been misinterpreted. However, if in fact the Pope does support the LGBTQI movement, Ampadu says the religious community ought to stage an intervention. Shaka Wooding reports.
Pope Francis made headlines following controversial remarks where it is alleged that he declared his support for civil union legislation to be developed for same-sex couples. The Pope was quoted saying, "Homosexual people have a right to be in a family. They're children of God and have a right to a family. Nobody should be thrown out or be made miserable over it. What we have to create is civil union law. That way they are legally covered." The Pope's statements have been receiving mixed reactions from religious groups around the world. In St. Lucia, Minister for the Methodist Church Reverend Seth Ampadu has made it abundantly clear that the position of the Methodist Church remains aligned with what is detailed in the Bible. Ampadu believes that the Pope should be made to clarify his pronouncements, as he may have been misunderstood.
I have also heard that people would have misconstrued him. But whatever the case may be, I think if we don't condone same-sex union, because it goes against the principles of the Bible, especially where the Bible emphatically states man-woman relationship in terms of sexual union, so that trying to twist or change, what the Bible, the fundamentals of the Bible, I think it is unacceptable.
Ampadu believes that religious leaders should not differ from the teachings, which are the very foundation of the religions they represent.
If that is what he meant, then I will be disappointed in him, because he is somebody that the whole world, people are looking up to him. So if that is his intention, then for me it is wrong, you see. So I think we need to speak against those things. If it is that is his intention, then all the Christian community should rise and protest against that.
The religious leader affirmed that he is fully opposed to the support of same-sex marriage by the church. Jacka Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Now, the LGBTQI community in St. Lucia has welcomed the statement by Pope Francis declaring his support for civil same-sex unions. LGBTQI activist Jessica St. Rose echoed Pope Francis's sentiments that members of the community are also children of God. She says she expects a lot of pushback from churches, but says society as a whole needs to open up conversations about equal rights. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
In a stunning turn of religious events, Pope Francis voiced his support for same-sex civil unions. His comments were revealed in a documentary film named Francesco that premiered on Wednesday last week. Many conservative critics within the church hierarchy saw the remarks made by the Pope as a reversal of the church's teaching. While some church leaders may have a difficult time accepting the remarks made by the Pope, the LGBTQI community has accepted his views with open arms. Here in St. Lucia, LGBTQI activist Jessica St. Rose says the endorsement is welcomed.
This has been an ongoing conversation for years, and knowing that the Pope has endorsed such a bold move when it comes to LGBTQI and same-sex families, we welcome the opportunity. We welcome it gracefully. We welcome it happily, and we think what does it mean to us? It means a lot of progress in the world. It means that we are now being accepted into the church in a different kind of way, knowing that the Pope has endorsed this, it also opens the door for civil unions of same-sex families or same-sex relationships to be legal and to make it legally binding. And this is what, as much as the Pope has endorsed this, but making it legally binding is what we really anticipate and what we really hope that other countries will follow other leaders will follow from the Pope's endorsement.
She believes the Pope's comments spell progress because, as he rightfully said, they too are children of God and were made in his image. She anticipates pushback from churches, but is hopeful that understanding will prevail through it all.
We have folks who definitely are not accepting of the LGBT community, and they will downplay this, and they will. Some may cause a riot, some may say that the church is going mad, some may say that the Pope is going mad. We expect all of this, and debate is always good in once you know how to agree to disagree. At the end of the day, we will not agree with everything, and I understand that. However, we welcome the good news, and we're just hoping that other churches can move forward with this, could also take lead and also listen to the Pope and understand where he's coming from, because it's all about respect and understanding.
St. Rose says she hopes this will spark a bigger conversation worldwide about same-sex marriages and equal rights. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Stay with us, there's more after the break.